Hi. I know everyone is bitching about this game, so this isn't going to be like a super downer video. There's just one thing I really just want to get off my chest because it is so terrible. The reason the endgame is so crappy and feels so exhausting is the towers are literally the worst thing I've ever seen in an ARPG, and I honestly don't think that's an exaggeration. So, what makes the towers feel so shitty? One, by the time you get to a tower, you finish it only to realize, boom, water. Half of the maps you want to be affected don't actually exist. Okay, next tower, boom. This stuff is all nice, but, you know, it's hardly within range of this, and it's not really at all within range of like this. So like, and by the time you go from here to here to here, you've already done like 30-40% of the maps that both of these are overlapping on. So it feels bad getting to a tower just to find out that the tower doesn't really affect a lot of what you want it to affect. There's just so much empty dead space. And by the time you get to the second tower, you've already done like half the maps the towers have affected. And this problem is not rare. Boom, water everywhere. Boom, mountains and water everywhere. Boom, water everywhere and some mountains on both sides. Boom, more, go away. Go away. Boom, more water, more mountains fucking everywhere. Boom, literally mountain, 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 water. Same thing over here. Like, you get the gist here. So it's hard to really find towers that are even worth, finding juice that's worth the squeeze in the first place. Second off, Precursor tablets, how did GGG fuck this up again? Precursor tablets are literally just sextants, but somehow even worse. Okay, so this is Path of Exile 1, and this is how the sextant system worked for like 5 years. Basically, you would finish maps on the Atlas, then you would drop a sextant on those Atlas maps. And this had 3 uses. Working off memory here, sorry. So you had to refresh this every 3 times. And it gave you a random modifier that worked exactly like a Precursor tablet. Though instead of guaranteeing a league mechanic, it was just like 50% increased quantity. And it only affected like 2 or 3 maps at most. So, but you had control over where you would drop them. Now, sextants are actually pretty good. Once you learn how sextants blocking works, you can pretty much reliably set up a couple maps you want to farm forever, if that's your jam. The thing that made sextants really just garbage to deal with was acquiring them, because there was no currency exchange yet, and they didn't drop often enough to really replenish and make sure you could always have the good modifiers. So this meant that you had to use the trade site to constantly top up on them. This meant you had to turn on a live search for sextants, and mind you, when it comes to things that are repeatable mapping tools like this, if you're at the level of PoE2 where you have to buy a lot of Precursor tablets, you know exactly what I'm about to complain about. 90% of the listings are fake fucking like Chinese bots just trying to price fix. They list something worth like 2 or 3x for 1x and then never respond. So you have the live search going, and after like 40 seconds of live searching for tablets, you get hit with rate limited, and you have to like refresh the page for it to keep going. And of the 40 dings that you get in those 40 seconds, like 30 of them are fake. So they are just an unbelievable pain in the ass to trade for. They are an unbelievable pain in the ass to work and path towards. And this system, which is arguably better than towers currently are, this got completely reworked into this, which is so much better. So the way this system works, this was the gerrymandering update. Basically, the Atlas was sectioned off into these areas, and the more maps you completed, you could drop sextants into the squares that correlated with these zones, and it would just affect everything in these zones. And they made it with currency exchange, all this extra shit, and making them like not reusable, just all that stuff, all that goodness. They made it so that it was not a problem. You can just easily get basically whatever you want and just keep it set up pretty much forever if you were even somewhat cognizant of how the game mechanics worked. So it affected a much larger area, opening up your available maps to do and farm. It was significantly easier to upkeep and maintain. And that's kind of what I'm going to suggest for PoE2. So I think that 2 things need to happen. I'm going to just, 1, assume that you are willing to get rid of towers completely, because towers are terrible. Let's just work off the assumption that towers are going to go at some point. I think it would be so much better if, where is it? It's like over here. You do these like boss citadels, and then these open up like one precursor tablet slot. Then you go do pinnacle, or better yet, you have like 3 or 4 pinnacle bosses, and after beating those pinnacle bosses, they open up 2 or 3 precursor tablet slots. And the way this would work is you put your precursor tablets in like a list over here, and more sections of the list unlock with each pinnacle boss you beat, and then every single map you click on is just affected by all the precursor tablets. Also, make precursor tablets available to buy on the currency exchange. I cannot believe in the year 2025 we have not learned that this is Scarabs all over again. This is literally Scarabs 2.0. But not as rewarding as Scarabs were. Scarabs were a pain in the ass because they were something that went in next to your map. You would put your map in here, then you would put this stuff in with it, and you're like, damn, okay. So if you needed like 100 Scarabs for your mapping for like the next 4 hours, good luck buying those before they got put on the currency exchange. It was fucking terrible. So I don't know how we're making the same mistake with precursor tablets. Now, if you are not willing to get rid of towers, then for the love of God, make it so that when I put the things in the tower, I put the precursor tablets in. You see all these green finished maps? They reset so I can do them again. That way, an area like this is perfect. I go here, I do these, I do this tower, I put tablets in it. Okay, these become blue again. I go up here, I do this, these all become blue again. That way, once I actually get good RNG on the towers, I don't feel like total dog shit, like I only got 20-30 minutes of actually good juiced mapping. Also, I would make it so that shit like this just doesn't happen. We've got like 3 towers here. Wow, nice macro, dude. We have like 3 towers here, and they're all covering like nothingness, like garbage. Like half of their radius is like this tower. 70% of this tower's radius isn't even affecting maps. It sucks. So I would make it so that, dude, nobody's selling these single. Buy them in bulk. Buy them at the currency exchange or buy them in bulk. Anyway, the point is like, it feels so goddamn bad to get so little juice for so much effort. But yeah, that's basically all I wanted to bitch about. Make it so that water doesn't really cut towers off nearly as much. Like, just make it so, like, all of this is filled in. Maybe make it so there's just a little lake right here or whatever. Fill in all this garbage, and that would be that. That would make the game so much better. Precursor tablets on the currency exchange. Remove, like, 80% of the water and mountains. Or just remove towers and make it so defeating bosses on the Atlas, which I think that's the best solution, by the way. That encourages you to do the quests to fight all the pinnacle bosses, and that actually gives you like a substantial reward that isn't just like 2 Atlas passive points. Who gives a shit, you know? But yeah, that's my big gripe with the game.